What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk, a special edition. I told you guys this was coming. I gave everybody a heads up yesterday. My boy, Donnie Druin, back in-house. The Pittsburgh Steelers face the Arizona Cardinals. I've been waiting all year for this. I've had this circled since the second the Pittsburgh Steelers released their schedule. The return, the awaited return of the OG, my boy Donnie Druin. It is an honor, my friend. How you feeling? How's life out there in Arizona these days?
Warm. Apparently not so much back in Pittsburgh. I'm not excited to be back in the cold and freeze my tail off. It was that I remember walking around with you in Indy for the combine, and it was like 60, and I'm shivering, and you're like, man, like I can go for a run right now. Like this is
yeah. I was rocking shorts.
But great, man, great. The Cardinals season, not so much, but I mean, we got a very big offseason here in the desert. Could see a number one quarterback, maybe see another generational receiver come here. $66 million in cap space, 6 picks in the top 3 rounds. I mean, there's an opportunity to cook here in Arizona for sure.
That's crazy that you guys have $66 million in cap space and Kyler Murray is already signed. You think they're going? I mean, like you'd have to imagine they'll probably get the number 2 pick because the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I don't know what they were doing, but they did something wrong. You think that they'd go? You think they'd really go quarterback? You think they'd really consider that over Marvin Harrison?
That's a great question. I will tell you that this regime is not exactly married to Kyler Murray. They've done all the right things just in terms of speaking very well of him publicly. They've backed him from day one, which I think has made a world of difference just in terms of Kyler Murray being here in Arizona. I will tell you, though, that before Kyler stepped onto the field, that was a serious conversation. He played pretty well in his return to Atlanta. They ended up winning one of their 2 wins on the season already. The last 2 games, though, he's not regressed, but he's kind of like came back down to earth a little bit. And I think that door is still very much open. I think the Cardinals, for better or worse, are going to have to evaluate Kyler Murray on the last 8 games of the schedule that he's going to play without DeAndre Hopkins in a brand new system under a brand new offensive coordinator. And it's tough. There's a lot of things working against Kyler Murray, but I mean, if it's the Cardinals or any other of the 31 teams evaluating him, they're going to have to work with what they see on the film. And so far, through 3 games, Kyler Murray hasn't exactly put out the best film to convince Arizona that he might be the guy moving forward.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the questions. I was actually talking to somebody, I don't know, yesterday maybe, and I was just like, yeah, Kyler Murray's looked all right, right? Because I only watched his first game back, and they're like, no, he looked good for like a game. That was about it. But I want to get into football, obviously. But first, we'd have a lot of comments on YouTube if I didn't just start off by asking, how the hell are you? How's covering the Cardinals? Everybody wants to know. You got to remember, you left an entire fan base here. Everybody wants to know what's up with Donnie Druin. How you feeling? How you enjoying the warmth over there watching a really, really crappy team all the time?
Yeah, I've done a lot worse for a lot less. Whenever I tweeted out that I was coming back home to Pittsburgh, a lot of people reached out. They're like, hey, we miss you. Pittsburgh misses you, this and that. So it was really cool to see, obviously. But you've built an empire just in terms of covering the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I was really happy to be a part of that. Covering the Cardinals, it's fun, man. It's interesting covering a bad team. My numbers don't really agree with that. But like the hope and projection moving forward of the Cardinals under a new head coach, under a new general manager, it's been really cool, man. And then I think it really feels like you've watched me grow up a little bit, because I remember back whenever we worked together fan-sided.
Dude, a long time ago.
Dude, such a long time ago. And to see where both of us have come since then has been phenomenal. But Cardinal stuff is good. I also cover the Phoenix Suns. That's been going pretty good. Hopefully I get to cover an NBA Finals a little bit later in June 2024. So
wow, that'd be crazy. You think the Suns would make it to? I grew up a Suns fan, so this would be. I don't watch Suns anymore, but that would be. You think there's a real possibility here? You think KD leads a team?
If everybody's healthy, Kevin Durant's putting up similar numbers to his MVP year. It's just a matter of everybody staying healthy. So we'll see, man. I don't know. The perfect June 2024 for me would be going to your wedding and then going to cover an NBA Finals.
Shout out. That would be that'd be pretty awesome. I might have to sneak in there with the press credential. I feel like somehow, some way they'd be like, yeah, no strap line. That sounds. I've never heard of him, but we could. Yeah, we could get him. We could get him a pass. That sounds good to me. I know. I was saying before we jumped on here that all your Instagram stories of you just chilling, like taking videos of LeBron James or whoever. I think you should just stop telling people that you cover the team, and then you should just like just chilling courtside. That's just what I do these days. Just hanging out. Left all Steelers talk for bigger things.
Being 2 feet away from like Victor Wembanyama and just seeing. Like,
I couldn't even imagine.
Nuts.
Yeah, just straight up at all times. At all times. Neck's got to hurt on that one. That's a good time. That's a good time. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Excited to see you. I'm sure there'll be lots of people, dude. At this point, like, we'll be walking through the strip. I'm sure at least somebody will be like, dude, Donnie Druin, oh my God.
Hell,
like, yeah.
Not a shot.
I'll make a bet with you.
I'll
make a bet with you. I guarantee it. Okay. I could guarantee it. Peace, love, little donuts. Shout out Peace, love, little donuts, because we're definitely getting some when you're in town. Excited to see you. Let's talk about some football. Just like you said, Kyler Murray, not great in the last 3 games. That was my first question for you. Is Kyler Murray the guy? Does he bring any hope to the Cardinals? Does anything change? I mean, what'd you guys start? 1-7 to start the season. He comes back. Is that like, does he give any hope for a trap game? I guess that would be the question for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is there concern that maybe he goes off, maybe they, find a bit of a spark? Does he provide that at this point in his career, or is that maybe a little behind just the Cardinals as a whole?
Yeah, so the Cardinals as a whole have been kind of disappointing on both sides of the football. I do think Kyler Murray, as an athlete, 3 games removed, from returning from a major ACL injury, he moves fine. Like, I have no concerns about him post ACL and meniscus tear. He moves fine. More than anything, it might be just the lack of talent around him. And granted, like, Kyler Murray has been shaky in terms of accuracy. Like, he's had a few turnovers. You really don't like to see that. But he still definitely brings that upside of, if everything is clicking that day, the Cardinals can absolutely play the role of trap game. Now, will they? Probably not. But with somebody with the athletic upside as Kyler Murray, he's going to need those legs to run away from TJ Watt and company. I'm sure Mika Fitzpatrick is probably going to get ready for this game, playing the first time in over a month. Kyler definitely brings that upside. Now, it all depends on how the rest of the offense looks. If they decide to not run James Conner more than, I think he touched the ball 6 times last Sunday, that might be an issue. Yeah, so... the Arizona, the brand new offense, they have Kyler Murray under center after he was operating in a spread shotgun thing under Cliff for a handful of years. Completely different. He said himself yesterday, he's still very much getting used to the offense. And I mean, you're looking at a team that had Josh Dobbs and Clayton Tune start games for them. So like we've already here in Arizona have seen like the worst football imaginable. And so for all the smack you just talked about Kyler Murray, I mean, he's night and day, the best quarterback there. He very much could still be on the roster next year. It's just up to him to prove it.
That's crazy that because the perspective of Josh Dobbs outside of Arizona, I guess, was that this dude, I mean, like, you could ask some in Pittsburgh, and you couldn't ask me. Like, I would say Kenny Pickett, but there were some that were like, maybe they should have went and got Josh Dobbs, or shouldn't have given up on Josh Dobbs, and he should have been their quarterback. In Arizona, I guess that's a different outlook.
They traded him. He played bad week 1, kind of got his stuff together, and then just fell right back down right before they traded him, because they knew Kyler was coming back the week after. He goes to Minnesota and he wins the first couple games, and everybody here is like, no, he's going to turn into a pumpkin. I promise. Just keep watching. Man.
Hate to see that for Josh Dobbs. But that's good, because a lot of people who are going to make that argument could now say, no. Do you see this glare in my eyes right now? This is straight from the sun. There is sun in Pittsburgh. Just giving you a little heads up for
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of things about Kenny Pickett and co. Do you think maybe, just maybe, if the Steelers get desperate enough, they might pick up the phone and see what Arizona wants for Kyler Murray in the offseason?
So that's a very good question. I think these next couple games determine a lot. I actually just talked about this on my to-go this morning. I look at Arizona and New England, the Steelers' next 2 games, as kind of like a ramp-up period for Kenny, just to like, hey, get your confidence back, play full games, much better than you've played. Because Cincinnati was the first time in Kenny Pickett's entire career that he played a complete game, start to finish, without a lull. Like usually it's like, okay, maybe they have like a good opening drive or a good drive like within the first quarter or at the end of the first half, and then it's just pure agony the rest of the game. And then the fourth quarter, he turns it on and does something. Cincinnati was the first time that was an entire game of, oh, okay, Kenny actually looks pretty all right. I think he's got to prove that for the rest of the year, just because my thoughts are Mike Tomlin didn't make this move. I firmly believe that Art Rooney was the guy who called Mike Tomlin into his office and said, look, we're done. Matt's going. This is happening today. You're making a change at offensive coordinator. I think he'd do the same thing at quarterback if he realizes, like, Mike, this team looks really good everywhere else except for the QB. We have to make a change. He isn't the guy. I'm done waiting. And I think that's where, like, that's a justified place to be if you're the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is you've had a championship level defense for years now. You finally put some missing pieces together. You found some like really good depth. You put your offensive line together. You have wide receivers and running backs. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. And he knows that, and he wants to go get a Super Bowl. Maybe Kyler is an answer there. I would say Kyler is an answer, but I would say a name maybe like Justin Fields makes a little bit more sense for the Steelers. Cheap, still has plenty of potential, doesn't have any of the like off-field headlines that Kyler Murray has. And I'm not saying that Kyler like has any negative attention brought to him, but the Steelers will try to avoid anything. And there have been things with Kyler Murray that I think Steelers fans will latch onto, and I think Art Rooney would understand that. I don't know though. Maybe I'm still a guy that believes Kenny could turn it around in the next couple of things. But that's a good question. What are you giving up for Kyler? Like, what are you getting for, like, what's the return for Kyler Murray?
I mean, I think that all depends on how he plays, right? Because if he plays like a franchise quarterback, and if he plays up to the ability he should, I mean, you're looking at the first round pick and possibly even more, even with the contract, even with him being just a little bit older. I mean, if you get that dynamic athlete that you really can't find anywhere else, and the ability to push the ball down the field too, it'll be really interesting because I think when you have teams calling, and I'm sure teams are going to call in the offseason, whether or not they want to pull the trigger on the trade, totally up to them. I'm sure you're going to get teams who value him here, and then you're going to get teams who kind of value him here. So it's going to be wildly across the board just in terms of what teams want for compensation. Where that comes into play, though, is if they really don't like Kyler, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's go get Caleb. Let's go get Drake May. Like, we'll be happy with either. I feel like they'd be more willing just to move off of that contract to part with, hey, you know what? I know you're taking on a lot of money. We'll drop our expectations from here to here, and then maybe we can do business. I think that might impact things too a little bit. So we'll see. The next few months are going to be wild. And I really think after the regular season, because like players have to declare for the NFL draft on like January 15th, right?
Yeah.
The date like that, I think they'll know pretty early in the offseason what direction they want to go. And then we'll kind of see how things unfold from there.
That's interesting because the Steelers would be a low end sell there, but if the Cardinals are willing to go low, I mean, Omar Khan, man, he's done some things already. He could do some things again. I wouldn't put it past him to make a trade if they needed one, but I think Rooney kind of like makes that final call of like, I think Tomlin would stick to his guns as long as possible. Kenny would be the guy until Kenny Pickett retires, just because Tomlin wouldn't want to admit that Kenny Pickett isn't that guy. Art Rooney would be like, no, dude, we're done. We're winning Super Bowls. That's all I care about. Go get Kyler Murray. I don't know if he would be that guy, but that is interesting. And honestly, for anybody who's sitting around thinking trap game, Kyler Murray not playing well, but also having those expectations, I think kind of hurts them. And then the other part of this is the Cardinals are missing like what, their top 3 receivers right now as of yesterday. I saw their injury report. Marquise Brown's out. Trey McBride, which Zach Ertz is already on IR, so he's technically your backup, right? And then Michael Wilson has missed the last couple games. So you guys are down. I mean, I would expect Brown played last week on the same injury, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So I'd expect him to go.
Wilson has missed the last couple games with shoulder issues. And then McBride was there at practice. He just didn't have a helmet on. Like, he still had his like jersey like over a hoodie and stuff. So like,
he's looking
the outlook
good
on him probably isn't going to be too terrible. Obviously, we'll see over the next couple of days, but a lot of it could be a like 5'8" Greg Dortch, a like
Whew.
5'7" Rondell Moore, and then like a 6'2" Zach Pascal, who like has done nothing for the Cardinals. Now, granted, like you said, you're probably going to get either one of Wilson or Marquise Brown back this week. Trey
Yeah.
McBride, and I'm telling you right now, Trey McBride would be a huge absence. I actually have it written right here on the handy dandy notebook.
Be getting cool outside, but it's red hot on the field. So there's no better time than now to announce that today we've partnered with DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL. And thanks to DraftKings, we're bringing you even closer to the action. Right now, new customers who bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly. You heard that right, instantly. But that's not all. If you're already a DraftKings customer, you get a no sweat same game parlay. Get a bonus bet back if your same game parlay / same game parlay X doesn't hit. Max reward limits do apply. And if you're a multi-sport bettor, no worries. DraftKings allows you to combine multiple bets for a shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers who use our promo code ALLSteelers and bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
He has 53 less yards than Marquise Brown, who's leading the Cardinals in receiving, on 33 less targets.
Wow, that's crazy, actually. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's been a go-to guy for Kyler Murray. He's been a point of emphasis for Murray ever since he's returned. And like, no offense, like Jeff Swaim, the backup tight end in Arizona, but like McBride has just emerged to the point where when Zach Ertz does come back from injured reserve, if he does, there's no shot he starts over McBride. Like he's played that well.
Yeah, I'd understand that. Like McBride's young too. What is he? 2 years in?
Yep.
This is his second year. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good news for the Cardinals. Bad news, but at the same time, dude. I mean, Brown will probably go. If he doesn't go, could you imagine? I mean, you haven't watched, but Steelers fans could imagine a physical Joey Porter just standing there against little 5'7" Rondell Moore. That would be, I mean, ideal for Pittsburgh, but at the same time, I don't know if they have the speed to keep up with these guys, which is definitely fascinating. Which, kind of brings me to my next question here. When it comes to the speed of these guys, that would be the Steelers' hands down biggest weakness, is they do not have the speed to keep up with a lot of these guys. Is that a real thing in Arizona? Like, you talk about Miami and it's just speed. Arizona's got the speed, but I haven't watched much of their offense. Do they utilize it as well as they probably should?
First year offensive coordinator Drew Petzing is still kind of finding his footing just in terms of play calling and personnel and packaging and X, Y, and Z. They certainly have it. I mean, earlier in the year, whenever Kyler was still out, they used Rondell Moore in the backfield a lot as a running back. We haven't necessarily seen that a whole lot, but that worked out pretty good for them a handful of times. Rondell obviously is fast. Greg Dortch is a pretty shifty guy for being as little as he is. The speed is there, but it's not like Tyreek, Jalen Waddle kind of speed. They're just pretty fast dudes. Also, the execution and the playbook between Miami and Arizona could not be any further from each other. So if you took Rondell Moore and put him in Miami, he's probably putting up similar numbers to Jalen Waddle if you swap the two.
Really?
But like the Cardinals aren't going to win like a track meet or anything. And like, to be fair, like Marquise Brown was pretty speedy too.
Yeah.
But the problem you get is whenever you try to take those deep shots, you don't have a George Pickens to come down with it. You don't have an Allen Robinson to come down with it. You're banking on a dude who's under 6 foot to go up and, catch a 50-50 ball. And that doesn't happen a whole lot in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. That would, Allen Robinson doesn't really do. Allen Robinson does a lot of blocking for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out Allen Robinson. Great contributor to the Steelers offense, but it's a George Pickens show for the Steelers. All right, last, really the only other in-game question I have for you is James Conner. You said he touched the ball 6 times last season. I've seen you tweet out a number of times that the Cardinals need to hand James Conner the rock more, and they refuse to. Why? What's going on with James Conner?
I think they might just trying to keep him healthy.
For what? Like, what are you keeping James Conner? The playoffs or the 2024 season?
Dude, that offense is night and day, like awful without him. Like
Okay.
he would have my vote for team MVP for the first half of the season. Like he's been
Wow.
that good. When he was healthy earlier, I mean, the Cardinals had like a top 5 rushing attack in the league.
Yeah.
Like he was helping Josh Dobbs out so much by drawing so much attention away from him. But like the offensive line has been pretty banged up. Although a name to watch, Elijah Wilkinson, who started at left guard, he had his 21-day practice window opened up. So we'll see if he plays in Pittsburgh. That would be a pretty big boost to the Cardinals' offensive line. But James Conner's a bowling ball, man. Why he doesn't get 20, 25 touches a game shocks me. Now you have Michael Carter in the former New York Jets running back. They split carries pretty much. They split time in the backfield last week. I don't really know what to make of that situation right now since Carter's still pretty new. I would anticipate if the Cardinals get down early again, they would probably go to Michael Carter again just because he's a better pass catching running back.
Yeah.
If they feed James Conner, he would eat. Simple as that. He's averaging 5 yards per carry. I don't understand why they don't feed him 20, 25 times a game.
That's crazy to me, especially because he is like, he's young, he's been healthy. Last year, what he put up like 15 touchdowns or some crazy number like that. He was on my fantasy football
the
team
last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just doesn't make any sense to not hand him the football. But at the same time, like, I mean, does that change in Pittsburgh? Like, is there like an emotional, like, hey, he's coming back to Pittsburgh, hand him the rock, let him eat type of situation?
No, I don't think so. He met with us yesterday, and he obviously gave very glowing reviews about Pittsburgh and the Steelers, and even Pitt.
Yeah.
We dealt for his collegiate time there, but he said all that emotional stuff is going to have to wait until after the game. It's just business as usual, I think is the term he used to describe it moving forward, and that's kind of the mantra around here moving forward into Pittsburgh.
That's sometimes you need a little emotion, I feel like. But I don't know. I'm not in Arizona, so I couldn't feel it. I do have one more, but I'll save that for the end. Let me switch it to you here. What you got for me?
Yeah, I was going to say, man, the Steelers are kind of gearing up for a playoff run, right? I mean, things finally start to appear to be clicking in Pittsburgh. I mean, you have a stretch of, I don't want to say easy games because there's really no easy games in the NFL, but a favorable schedule nonetheless. I think I want to ask you first about the OC change going from Matt Canada to Eddie Faulkner, running back coach running the show. 1 game sample size, but I mean, have you liked what you've seen?
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I could say, so I think the funniest, the perfect example, but also the funniest example is the first play of the game in Cincinnati. It is a pass right up the seam to Pat Freiermuth, a throw that for 2.5 years, Steelers fans and media and radio personalities and national media and everybody have just screamed, hey, you should probably use Pat Freiermuth up the seam just once in a while, maybe. First play, that's what they do. I thought it was like a big middle finger to Matt Canada and to everybody who was like, oh, they'll never do this. They did it. I think the biggest change is that I looked at Matt Canada as a guy that was trying desperately to save his job. And because of that, he wouldn't take input from others because he just wanted to. I mean, when you're backed up against the wall, what do? You start fighting and you don't look for help. You know, you just try and you got tunnel vision and you are trying to fight your way out of whatever you're in. I kind of felt like that's where Canada was, especially this season. And as it got worse, the offense got worse because he just continued to say, I have to get us out of this without making adjustments. He constantly like say it was execution and it was players and blah, blah, blah. And Tomlin would support him. So it was kind of both of them. Faulkner and Sullivan come in here and first game, it's just like, let's take some shots. Let's just play normal football. That's all it was. It was just normal football. It wasn't Mike McDaniel's or Kyle Shanahan's playbooks. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just normal football with guys who are good at playing normal football, and it worked. So that was the biggest change. People are going to talk about like, oh, they only put up 16 points. Chances are they should have scored another touchdown because the Deontay Johnson catch was called incomplete. Probably should have been called complete and a touchdown. At that point, you put up 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. You feel really good about where this team is. They broke the 400-yard streak for the first time in 59 games. I mean, 1 game sample size looks really good. The way I look at it is these next 2 games kind of get you ready for that tough streak where you go to Indianapolis, you play Cincinnati again, you play Baltimore, you play Seattle, you fight your way into however high in the playoff seeds you could get. These Arizona and New England matchups are kind of just like, hey, you got to continue to grind. You got to continue to build on it. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like just like the Josh Dobbs thing, like new things are difficult to defend in the NFL, and it's just a matter of how long can you keep those new things alive and successful, and that's what the Steelers will look at this week. But I do like, I mean, one game sample size, I was definitely impressed.
Do you think there's a shot that the Steelers overlook Arizona? Because I
Yes.
feel like in the NFL, it might be a little easy to overlook an opponent who's 2-10 with the tough schedule, like you said, coming up with the gauntlet that they have to finish the season. I mean, they're pros. They're here for a reason, right? But like, especially under like a Mike Tomlin coach team, like, do you think there's an opportunity here for Arizona to kind of sneak in and walk away out of Heinz Field with a win?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. 100%. 100%. I mean, this goes well beyond this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers under Mike Tomlin, and really before Mike Tomlin, but really under Mike Tomlin, they've always kind of fell for trap games. They are never great in these trap game situations, and no matter how hard we try to talk ourselves out of them, they always seem to fall for them. I think that's a possibility. I think it's just a matter of how bad is the trap game and how quickly can they get things going. I will say that the fact that you have a new offensive coordinator helps. Like, it's not, if this was a normal team, normal Matt Canada, normal whatever, I could say, yeah, this could 100% be a trap game. This could be real dangerous for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't see Eddie Faulkner acknowledging that the Cardinals stink, or Mike Sullivan acknowledging that the Cardinals are not a good football team. I see them completely ignoring who the Cardinals are and just looking at it and saying, look, this is another game that we have to win. Otherwise, the pressure is going to be so heavy on us that it might be insurmountable. Might not be able to climb out of it. I think that'll help. Like, I think Eddie Faulkner is such a, everybody else is nameless gray faces, and he kind of lives by that. Tomlin says it. Tomlin says a lot of things that he doesn't actually mean. And Faulkner, I don't get that vibe. I just get that this is real. He might just totally ignore who the Cardinals are, and that'll help. And then when it comes to, like, you got guys like Deontay Johnson, and I mean, TJ Watt wouldn't overlook anybody in the whole world, but you've some guys who like might be good enough and talented enough and experienced enough to say and acknowledge that the Cardinals are bad. Kenny Pickett, I think, is more so looking at this like, I'm pretty bad right now. I would like to be good. Let's try to be good, which I think certainly helps. But if I had to, black and white, yes or no, yeah, this could 100% be a trap game for the Steelers.
Yeah, if this game ended up like 28-0 in favor of the Steelers, or if it ended up like a 23-20 like battle, I
Yeah.
feel like it wouldn't be shocked either way. Like both teams that I feel like are so volatile right now, just in terms of where they be. Like the Steelers should win, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no putting lipstick on a pig. Excuse me. Like the Steelers should win. Like there's no excuse for them, especially playing at home. Which, like, by the way, we talked to Jonathan Gannon, Kyler Murray, James Conner, like a handful of other guys yesterday. You would have thought, and like me being from Pittsburgh, I have to say it is, but you would have thought like they talked about Pittsburgh like
Yeah.
the gold standard. Like they talked about going into Acrisure Stadium with the terrible towels and like a playoff like environment. Like
Yeah.
the guys talked about like it was nothing they've ever seen. Like there's been a handful of guys like talking about it to like James Conner, being like, "Hey, like, what's it going to be like? What should we expect out of X, Y, and Z?" Like, and then you get Jonathan Gannon talking so highly of Mike Tomlin, saying a whole bunch of nice things about him. So I don't want to say the Cardinals are like looking up to the Steelers and be like, "Oh man, I wish I could be that." But like the way the Steelers have been talked about at the facility this week,
Yeah.
you thought they were contending for a Super Bowl.
Do you think that helps or hurts the Cardinals? Like, do you look at it as, they understand that this is like a gold standard and they got to play up to the gold standard, or do you look at it like maybe they already have realistic expectations that maybe this is too high of a mountain to climb?
No, I don't think that. I think more than anything, man, with the culture reset that's happened in Arizona since the offseason,
Yeah.
I think they're looking at a Steelers team who is just the example of consistency, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Mike Tomlin being who he is, and like Steelers fans can say whatever they want about Mike Tomlin. There's maybe 3 or 4 teams in the NFL that would not take him on their coaching staff right now. And for fans to get after Tomlin year in and year out, it's just hilarious. And that's me speaking from afar.
I was gonna say you're speaking from a team who isn't very good and has struggled to become very good, and I think that's the perspective that Steelers fans struggle with, and myself included. Like every time I bash on Tomlin, I always have to acknowledge, like, at the same time, there are a lot of teams that wish they were in this situation.
Yep.
So to like hear you say, it's like it isn't like, oh, like it's not greener on the other side, but it gives you some hope to get better and new. No, like sometimes when you're on the other side, there is no light, and you're desperately trying to find the light.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are walking to a situation where they're playing a well-established team who has an identity, fortified names. Dude, like they've talked about TJ Watt like the boogeyman here. Like,
he is the boogeyman.
I mean, he is 100%. He absolutely is. The fact that Minkah Fitzpatrick might come back this week too, it just adds like salt to the wound for them. And I think they'll get an opportunity to kind of see, hey, you know what? If we keep our heads down, if we keep moving forward, if we all buy in, this is what we can create, but out here west in Arizona.
Yeah. I see that. I do expect a good game. You got a score prediction for us?
I would probably say like I go to like 24-13.
24. You got to. Do you understand that the Steelers have scored more than 20 points? I think twice this season, 3 times maybe.
Okay, so I'd love to talk about this, right? I mean, Najee, Jalen Warren in the backfield. I mean, more than anything, the Steelers are going to run the football, right? Like rain, sleet, shine, whatever it might be, and then focus too much on the run. You have the alien that is George Pickens, and then Deontay Johnson, who is pretty drama free according to my calculations. I haven't seen anything about him on Twitter.
You haven't been paying attention to the headlines this week, my friend.
I would ask about Ryan Chase here, but that's a completely different
I was at a child's birthday party last night when that news popped up on my Twitter, and everybody looks at me and I went, nah, it's not the right place to talk about this. We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
The Cardinals had 140 yards per game on the ground, which is third last in the NFL. And the Steelers are going to gouge the Cardinals on the ground.
Yeah.
I have no doubts in my mind about that.
Yeah. It could be a big game, especially Najee Harris looks revamped after last week. Jalen Warren's been an animal. Yeah, that was the best I've seen Najee play since his rookie year, actually. And then Jalen Warren's an animal. I could see that. I feel the same way. Like, I think this is the game they finally break 20 points, like, and it looks good. Like, it's not like this is just 20 points. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I kind of expect Kyler Murray and I expected the Cardinals to start off stronger than the Steelers anticipate them starting, and then it kind of slows down. So I could see 24-16.
Like, it could click. I mean, like, Kyler finally, kind of finding his rhythm in the offense. He's had 3 games now with live reps with his guys. Yeah. I think here in Arizona, people are kind of waiting to see, okay, you know what? Like, he's played in the offense. He knows the system. He's got the timing down a little bit better. Like, when is the week where we see Kyler Murray say, you know what? I have it. I found it. Well, we can only go up from here. I'm obviously not against the Steelers defense, but I mean, like, it's only a matter of time, people feel like, in Arizona.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, look at the Steelers defense. If there's a hole anywhere, that hole is on the outside with their corners. Joey Porter is an animal, but he's still handsy. He's still he still has a lot of penalties. He's consistent with the penalties. Patrick Peterson's getting old, and there's really no, like, Levi Wallace can't handle the speed of the Arizona Cardinals. Just can't happen. So I could say maybe. I like the 24. I'd go 20. I went 24-16 last week with the Bengals, and I was off there. I'm gonna go 24 because I have to bring this tomorrow too to the show tomorrow, and they're gonna roast me. I'm gonna go 20. I'm gonna go 24-13. 24-13. And that feels all right. Okay. But there's also, like I said, the trap game that I could see it being like a 23-16 or 17. You know what I mean? Like a 1 touchdown. It was real close type of ball game. which would stink for the Steelers fans. They need a little. It would be great for Arizona. This is the team that you want to beat.
Yeah, and like Arizona has teetered that line this year of they've been competitive in like most of the games they've played in, right? But like they've got the best of both worlds. Shout out to Hannah Montana, because they've played well, but they're also losing. They're also still maintaining that very high draft capital, which is obviously something like the active players and coaches don't care about. But like if you're a general manager and you're sitting there in the front office and like you see the talent that's there, you see the coaching getting better each and every week, but you're still getting a pretty high draft slot. I mean, it's almost like a win-win for year one, under the Jonathan Gannon era here in Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. Like you look at that and you just say like, this is like the prime, like you're not going to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to make the playoffs. So you might as well get the number 2 pick in the draft and 100%. Show like, hey, we got pieces to build off of. Like that's otherwise you could be like, I don't know, the Panthers, who are just like, well, we have nothing to build off of and we don't have the number 1 pick in the draft. So it could be much, much, much worse. So shout out to them. All right, last question I got for you, and I'll let you go. The Steelers are looking for an offensive coordinator at the end of the season. There's a name that was in Arizona for a little while. He was chilling there. He also, before he was in Arizona, was spending some time in Pittsburgh, hanging out with Mike Tomlin, hanging out at the Pittsburgh Steelers facility, kind of learning the NFL game. Now he's working as an assistant coach with Caleb Williams, who might be the number 1 pick in the draft. Is Cliff Kingsbury going to be an OC again? Is he a good OC? Like, is it something that could work? And would you give the Steelers his recommendation if they asked?
Okay. Where to even begin with that? Wow. The entire state of Arizona is watching me right now, so I got to come correct. Cliff Kingsbury, realistically, I think he's going to get a head coaching job at the college level next year. He's already been rumored to fill the Houston vacancy, so I wouldn't be shocked if he goes there. Interviewed with the Texans last offseason is kind of like hey, I need an interview to fulfill my contract, so I still get paid by these people, even though I just got fired. Texans did him that favor, and he was rumored for the Patriots OC job last offseason before Bill O'Brien got it. I've only seen Cliff as a head coach, and this is not slander to him at all, just couldn't cut it. Like for him to be OC and head coach, there's a reason why the guys like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are just so rare, right? Like the ability to juggle both. If Steeler fans were tired of screen passes and halfback draws,
oh gosh,
do not turn on a Cliff Kingsbury game. Do not turn on a Cliff Kingsbury college, high school, pee-wee, NFL game. Do not turn it on.
That's all it is.
That's pretty much all it is. The amount of times that the Cardinals had been like 2nd and 10 or like 3rd and 15 because of like a halfback draw or because of like a screen pass and spreading the field horizontally and not vertically, astounding. Astounding. That should be studied and put in like the Smithsonian for how bad the Cardinals offense was under Cliff Kingsbury.
Wow. That's
it is hilarious to watch people outside of the great state of Arizona try and like clamor for Cliff Kingsbury because they have no idea what's coming.
That's the thing is you could ask Steelers. I mean, he was tossed in my early candidates. He was tossed in a lot of people's early candidates as like well, he couldn't do it, but he was a good offensive mind. That's what Matt Canada was. Matt Canada was jet sweeps and terrible runs and a lot of screen passes that went nowhere. Man, that would be the worst case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, huh?
I mean, the personnel is different in Pittsburgh. Maybe he's learned from his brief stint in the NFL already. Like he could come.
You don't want to take that chance.
But I will say he has that crazy resume of quarterbacks from like Baker to Kyler to like now Caleb. He made
Kyler work for a year, didn't he? Didn't they make the playoffs under Cliff?
Yeah, they made it 1 year. They should have made it another year. But like if you look at Cliff Kingsbury coach teams, if you do have the time and go and look at it, the second half of the season, his record compared to the first half is awful. Yeah, it's not great. I could not recommend Cliff Kingsbury. See, like, dude, you got me so like flustered right now talking about Cliff Kingsbury. No, just no. No.
I didn't. I won't lie to you. Like it came to me like 10 minutes before we jumped on the show. And oh, Cliff Kingsbury. I forgot he coached in Arizona. Should probably ask about that one.
If you're going for like hottest not head coach, but like hottest offensive coordinator, he's the guy. Like he is such a good looking dude. Like the charisma around
nobody
him,
in Pittsburgh cares about that. This is blue collar people. We want fat and chunky. Okay. Yeah. Eddie Faulkner comes out here and he said, "You got two light skinned brothers. This is what you need." The city of Pittsburgh was like, "Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Hell, this is what we need." You know, Mike Sullivan's like 5'6". Dude was jumping out of airplanes in the Air Force. Like that's the Pittsburgh. Nobody cares about good looking. I
would say Kingsbury is like a handsome Randy Fichtner.
Jeez Louise, that's bad. It's not what Pittsburgh Steelers fans. He's also not going to find. He's not going to find a home as nice as he found out there in the city of Pittsburgh. I can tell you that. Bro. House was gorgeous. Yeah, you don't get that up in the city unless you're driving like an hour and a half to work every day. And from the months of December to like May, the amount of snow that's going to be around your house, you're not making it to work most days because it's going to be bad. Wow, that stinks. That's wasn't the answer I was expecting. The answer we needed, I guess. The answer Pittsburgh Steelers fans needed to hear. That's a rough one. But with that, I guess we're gonna head out on a don't recommend Cliff Kingsbury type of note. My friend, I cannot thank you enough for this. I was excited for it all week. Was telling my fiance, was telling Jillian all day yesterday. I was like, dude, Donnie's coming on the podcast. I almost forgot to tell you. Can't wait to see you on Friday. What's the one thing in Pittsburgh you're like excited to do?
I've never been to a Steelers game. Like being from there, I've
never in your life.
I've been to. I watched them whenever I lived in Kentucky. We drove down to Nashville, and I watched the Titans Steelers game back in 2008. I watched them out here in Arizona whenever they came out here last time. I'm just excited to see the Terrible Towels. I'm excited to see Renegade play. Like the church experience of a football Sunday in Pittsburgh. I am so ready for.
Yeah, the church experience is a good one. We'll make sure we park downtown, make our way through downtown, make our way through all the crowds. You know what I mean? Get full North Shore. If you don't freeze, we might get there, and you might be like, "Get back in that damn truck. We're driving to the parking lot."
Dude, I will pull up my phone in your truck, and I'll have the heat running. I'll just watch the game there, and I'll do my work from there.
That's true. That could definitely work. There's some really nice parking lot attendants too that they'll hang out with you. I know they will. So that's a good time. I'm excited to see you. Can't wait to pick you up tomorrow night for everybody. Make sure for everybody watching who wants to keep as close of an eye as possible on the Arizona Cardinals, make sure to check out, what is it, allcardinals.com?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Allcardinals.com. Donnie's got everything. Don't worry about that one. With that, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys very much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Find us anywhere you get your podcast. Check out all of the Cardinals stuff at allcardinals.com, all the Steelers stuff at allsteelers.com. I will be back tomorrow with Steven and Nick for another day or another episode of All Steelers Talk. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.